Okay. Let you. Oh, we should fix that vine. I hate it.
What's wrong? I did fix it.
Mm-mm.
I mean, as dark as it's gonna get.
No, I mean the broken vine that I
Oh.
broke.
Oh, you broke it. You ain't gonna blame it on me this time.
No, I think I broke it.
This is my side piece. Oh, we look so happy. Well,
All right, you gonna
people,
send it out or no?
send what out?
I mean, you
Oh,
gonna,
well, people, once again, we're back. I don't even know what we're talking about, but we're here. As she likes to do, top of the hour
I
stuff.
thought you was gonna. You know,
What?
so you're not gonna wait for people to get on? No. You just gonna start talking?
No.
I don't understand him.
Yeah.
I guess that's what he does.
Well, whatever.
Okay.
What are you doing?
I don't know. Oh, there's that thing. That's how I got that. I should better not work this. How about that?
Yeah, maybe you should. But
I don't even know how to close it back up. How do I close it back up?
I lost the
What am I supposed to do? Oh, there it goes.
I lost the cook.
hey, that ain't what I was trying to do.
All right. Yes, I was going. That's what I was going to do. I was going to. That's what I was saying. Are you going to share it?
Oh, well, obviously, when I go on Facebook,
That's what I was talking about, sharing it.
I lost the cousin.
he lost a cousin. That's Bubba Dub, just in case y'all want to know who that is.
No one person I care.
Man, Bubba Dub is funny, baby. Don't hate. Don't hate at all.
Whatever.
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
All right. So I guess we can start though.
Yep, we're here. We're here. We're live. We're live.
Yeah, go ahead. Top of the hour.
Well, I don't know what top of the hour is.
Um,
Somebody's birthday coming up in a week. So,
you should turn your volume thing off, like on your phone. You know how you can turn it off. So that when you go to Facebook and you scroll, the videos don't just play.
that was
Like that.
live that we were doing.
I know, but you can still do that though.
So, anyway, people,
Okay, top of the hour.
somebody's birthday coming up in 7 days. They're going to be the big number that I'm not going to say, that most people, well, a lot of people consider middle age. I don't really consider it middle age after thinking.
Why are you telling my age though? I didn't actually do that. That's
Well,
crazy.
Well, you don't look it, baby.
I don't care. That's crazy. Nobody asked you to
I
tell
didn't tell you
my
age, though. I
You
didn't
basically
say-
just
no, I
did.
didn't.
You really did.
What did I say?
I don't understand. You just do too much.
Anyway, why are people ashamed of their age?
I'm not ashamed. I'm saying, why are you telling my age?
But
Because,
why
for
is-
example, I could have, being that this is live, there could be employers or something
Okay.
looking, and there could be ages. They can discriminate.
Well,
Don't
they have a birthday?
No, they don't know our ages. Not like that.
Oh,
when they
application
hire
I
us and
fill
stuff.
out there. Say
But not when they hire you. So they
Okay,
don't know
well,
your age.
anyway, somebody's
They
birthday
can't.
coming up.
Ask for that. I
Um,
don't understand why you.
I'm
Anyway.
sorry. you want to delete it and start over?
No, I don't. But I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
My goodness.
Bye.
Okay.
Somebody's birthday coming up. We're going to be in New York celebrating her birthday next Tuesday. She's going to see the first, what is that? Betty Boop
Live musical.
on
Betty Boop.
Broadway.
Yes.
She always wanted to go to Broadway, so I
Yes.
guess that's where we'll be at. While the rest of the country or in our area will be warm, we'll be up there cold.
Mhm.
So that's that.
You know what's interesting? That I don't have a Betty Boop tattoo yet.
Yeah, you shouldn't get one.
Like my dad. My dad had a Betty Boop tattoo, which is why I love it so much. But
Drunk sailors.
I don't have a Betty Boop tattoo.
That's
I think I'm gonna get one.
Pops was drunk.
I need to get on my ankle or something, I guess. Yeah. I'm gonna do that on my ankle. Or down there somewhere. Betty Boop. That's what I'm gonna do. So that's one of the top of the hour thing. The other is what? So we probably won't be live Tuesday because
No, we should go.
we're gonna be at the play. We may have to do a different day. So or
We should just walk around New York and be loud a little bit.
yeah, but we can't do it on Tuesday because the play starts at 7 or something like that.
Well, we're walking around. Anyway,
Okay, so we'll go live while we in New York somewhere with him bugging us.
yeah,
That's what we're gonna go live doing.
that's what we'll.
Yes, Aries, your birthday coming up too, Matt. Happy birthday
Well,
ahead of time. So yeah. The other top of the hour is what? Oh, very interesting thing that my that our counselor brought up the other day. I thought that was interesting.
Oh,
She
yeah.
said she went to church, and I guess part of the sermon was talking about expectations, and it said expectations. I want to make sure I get it right. Expectations plus limitations minus grace equals resentment. What do you all think about that? Expectations plus limitations minus grace equals resentment.
Yeah, we had a whole conversation about that. And I actually never thought about that. I ain't never heard that before. We've talked about expectations before, and she's always talked about giving grace, right? But then when she said that, it was a whole conversation, which kind of, I agree. I put a different spin on it, and I'll tell because I don't really care. It hasn't really caused problems, but it's caused me personal problems. My expectations of where I thought I was going to be at and how I was going to elevate our marriage as far as financially or whatever the case may be, it kind of caused me to have, what did I say? How did I put that? It caused me, it didn't cause resentment, but because I had a certain expectation of where I wanted us to be, and from like, she's good on her end, but with my business and all of that, I didn't give myself, that's what I was saying, I didn't give myself the grace of, understanding that, you have certain trials and tribulations, and I had hit one of them trials and tribulation things. So I didn't give myself enough grace, and, it caused me personal problems. So that was just for me and my situation as far as that with my personal issues. But in a relationship, if you don't give somebody grace, if you have certain expectations and you think somebody should be there or get there or work at this limit, this pace, and they're not getting there fast enough, or they fall, or whatever it is, and you don't give them grace, then it's gonna fail. It's gonna fail, and you're gonna have problems. So
right, I think you're right. Don't really have expectation if you don't have grace with the period of waiting for the other person to level up. And I agree with that. I think the other though, and this is what I brought up in relationship, because this is so, to me, it's a precarious predicament to be in. And I say that with regards to relationships because we are supposed to continually offer grace, and I get that. If you're a Christian, if you believe in God and everything, you continually offer grace. But grace doesn't mean acceptance, and grace doesn't mean continually putting up with things, and grace doesn't mean not holding someone accountable, right? So sometimes I believe we get confused with the offering of grace, because offering grace can also mean, hey, I'm not, for example, if you're in a relationship and you have expectations, and reasonable is subjective, but there are some things that you are reasonable in expecting. For example, our counselor brought up, like, if you just expect that you're not going to get cheated on, or they're going to be faithful to you. That's a reasonable expectation in a monogamous relationship. So if you're talking about a person's limitation is they don't know how to practice monogamy, right? They don't know how to be with one person. In that situation, the grace could be grace for yourself, in that you're not walking around angry all the time about what the person has done to you if they cheated on you, and grace with regards to the person as you saying, I'm not going to stay angry at you or mad at you, but I just can't be with you. I don't think there's anything wrong with not being with a person. I don't think distancing yourself from someone that isn't been good to you, or distancing yourself from someone that is causing you emotional or mental harm, means that you're not offering grace. I think you can do both. I think you can offer grace and be distant, so that that person isn't continually harming you, whether it be physical, emotional, or mentally. And sometimes when you have expectations that you think are reasonable, and a person has limitations that they can't reach, they may not ever be able to reach that. And I think there's a time and a place for a conversation to be had with, okay, these are my expectations, and the fact that we're not getting there is just making me miserable. type of thing, and you're trying to work through it, or you're saying, okay, the grace that we're offering is that we're gonna just gracefully and cordially go our separate ways. I mean, I just can't imagine God wanting us to be. And I'm not saying that He can't fix all situations, because He can, but I just don't see Him wanting us to be in a situation or circumstance that's draining to us, that is depleting us. And even God gives us free will, right? So He's not going to puppeteer someone around telling them what to do. And if a person just resisted to even trying to make it better, I don't see where the whole offering of grace entails staying with them and putting up with it.
And also, like, as far as the expectations things, and I mean, we're talking about at this point when was talking with the counselor, we were speaking about friendships as well, in relationships. So that could go relationship wise, friendship wise, any friendship, kids, family, homeboys, homegirls, whatever it is, right? So like she said, everybody's gonna have an expectation. And what happens if those people do not reach the expectations that you have? Sometimes the main thing is the communication aspect of it, because you could tell somebody, you're not doing this, or we're not doing this, or I thought this right. Like for her situation,
Mm-hmm.
she had to hold the individual accountable because of what she had did. So like when they're not meeting the expectations, you have the conversation and then explain to them, what's going on and how you feel, and if it doesn't, pan out, and if it's something that you like you said, give grace, because you don't have to get an attitude about it.
Right.
A lot of times people will get mad, and then that's where the grace doesn't come in. Because any friendship you can break off and don't be upset about it just because all of a sudden somebody outgrew somebody, or somebody wasn't willing, or they tried and they just couldn't, whatever it is, right? So you just have to understand. You just have to understand and communicate. So
yeah, definitely. But that was definitely an interesting scenario that she brought to us, and we discussed with regards to expectations. But I think it further goes to show that when people are dating, and especially if you're dating seriously, when you're in a relationship, when you're in a marriage even, I think it's always important to go back, and because people's expectations change all the time, to go back and reassess and talk about those expectations and where the limitations may be at, whether or not that limitation can be overcome, if someone can overcome it, whether or not it's an obstruction or an obstacle. And I think part of the whole thing with grace is being able to communicate about that and talk about it and say, hey, these are my expectations. This is where things are falling short. What can we do about that?
And what's crazy is, though, when you think about that, though, a lot of people won't communicate that because it becomes scary. It is kind of, and that's part of being, in any relationship and marriage or whatever, you're going to she's taught me and helped me learn. You're going to have your ebbs and flows, right? So if you're with the expectations changing, and if you may feel as though that you're not going to reach them, or they may feel as though it's that and third, if you don't communicate it and then you keep it in, and then it's going to cause a lot of frustrations. And just that alone, for instance, if her expectation is this, that, and the third of me, and I'm not doing it, and then she don't ever say anything, like we talked about, sometimes, especially with her practicing joy, so I could potentially take that as, oh, well, she's okay with me, da 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 da. And then in her head, he's like, okay, well, this dude is really not trying, or this, that, and the third. And I'm thinking one thing is one thing, and her thought process is something totally different. But because we didn't have a conversation about it, we don't know where we're at on it. So it can actually cause extra problems.
It really can. That definitely can. And Matt, that's the one thing I brought up to the counselor. I said that I was thinking about that. I think it was last week actually, and I can't remember, last Thursday, late last week. And I was saying, like, we always talk about not having expectations, because then if you don't have expectations, you won't be disappointed. And it just kind of hit me. It was like, we shouldn't have to walk around like that. Like, no one should have to walk around like that. Like, it's perfectly okay to have expectations, and it's perfectly okay to want somebody to meet those expectations. And we shouldn't be to the point where we're walking around saying, okay, yeah, I can't, I better not expect nothing from this person because, or expect much from anyone because they're going to disappoint me. I think at that time we need to start reassessing who we are around. We need to start being better at discerning who we associate with, who we get in relationships with, everything, because that shouldn't be the mindset.
I'll say this too, like going back to the communication. If you meet somebody in your early onset of conversations, there should be a conversation about expectations, right? Because and again, I know we said that expectations change, but that's a rare conversation that I think that people have. Like, so if we go out for the first week or two, we're dating for a month, and of course our conversations are going to change, right? So some type of way you should sneak in, like, oh, well, my expectations is starting off like, because within 2 years, we have progressed in a way of getting married or be married or whatever your expectations is. Because if you start, especially with men, I believe, if a woman start a conversation off like that, that's either going to scare the guy away, or he's going to be like, oh, okay, if he's one of them guys that really wants something serious, he's going to be like, okay, well, I got somebody that's about something, and then all of a sudden, then you really start building on other things. Because if you have that conversation with me in the beginning, then I could, later on in the relationship, when the expectation thing come up and they've changed, you should be more open to receiving that.
And yeah, not only that, but I think then you have more of a, I don't want to say grounds because it's not really a ground, but the person can't say that they didn't know. Well, I didn't know that you expected that from me, because now whether or not it's funny, because it kind of goes in line with what one of my coworkers have been saying to me all week, actually since last week. She's been saying, don't overpromise, always underpromise. Don't overpromise, underpromise. And so I think we have to point out that in these conversations about expectations, it's important for both parties to not say that they can do stuff that they can't do. Like, admit what your limitations are. If someone is expecting something that you think may be a little high, then you need to communicate that. Like, I don't know if I can get there. I mean, I can try, but I don't know if I can. That way you're not shocked when 3 months down the line, the person is feeling some kind of way because you said that you could do something that you can't do.
And I think that's a problem in certain relationships when we hear men say things like, oh, because, like, for instance, educated women such as yourself, or women with a higher intellect and has achieved all of this stuff, you'll get common guys that be like, oh, well, she thinks she's better than us, and this, that, and the third, are calling her bees, and she thinks she knows everything and all of this. And this is just how I feel in my observation of the people I've been around. I think a lot of times, because she's a no nonsense and already have, like you, for instance, goal driven and continuously want to climb, unless you a guy that want to climb like that, that's when you start getting those ego trips, and people start saying, guys start feeling like, she's all this, that, and the third, and she's a no nonsense, I know where I'm going type of person. And with that, it should be like the expectations of not cheating on somebody. Mm-hmm. It's an automatic expectation when you throw off that aura that, oh, I got to be on my P's and Q's. I got to be on my grind, basically, so I'll be able to meet you at least where you're at. Mm-hmm. And if you're not even on that level yet, it becomes intimidating. Yeah. That's why guys get intimidated by successful, career-driven women, because it's an automatic expectation mm-hmm. that I have to be blah, 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 blah. So if you tell them no, or if you act like you don't want to give them the time of the day or whatever, you have a certain expectation that they probably ain't reaching from the door. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, that's true, man. Never make a promise you can't keep.
Yeah, man, that's Drew Hill.
But it's definitely very true. Like with the over and under promise, and so I think,
isn't that the same thing as when he said that I really don't have any expectations. Like, so if you mm-hmm. under promise,
under promising is not like not having expectation. It's with you saying, if a person's saying, well, this is what my expectation is, you're not saying, if you know you have limitations, that you're not saying, oh yeah, I can do that. Under promising would be like, I don't know. I make, even if you think
Well,
that
to me, that's a little bit of form of manipulation too.
No, it's not, because even if you think you can reach it, right? So let me give a perfect example of under promising is if someone's asking you at work, when can you have this paper done? And you're thinking in your head, I can probably get it done by Monday. But you also know that something may come up where you can't get it done by Monday. So you tell them, I'll have it done by Wednesday. That's under promising. You're going to still try to get it done by Monday, but you don't want them expecting it on Monday just in case something come up. So like if you're under promising with regards to expectations, if somebody's saying, well, I expect that, that within 2 years, my man or my wife is going to be at $180,000 and you at 130, and you thinking like, well, I know I may be able to get this promotion that's coming up in this amount of time, but you're not. Why would you promise that you're gonna be at that level at that time? You under promise. Say, I don't know. My raises are normally about this much a year. I can maybe get at 140 by then, and if you get to 180, you good.
So my mind always goes to the no good person. To me, when somebody under promises something, that comes with a potential possibility of manipulation, because you can abuse that. Because you may know, like for instance, you may know that you can make 180,000, right, or whatever it is, and you're only at 140, right? So you be like, oh yeah, I may be able to get there. I don't know, it's going to be kind of hard, but it's an easy path for you to get there. Mm-hmm. So I might want to impress you, and I may just, not be driven or whatever it is. I just know that this is coming up and I'm going to get this or whatever the case may be. And now I can make it look like, especially if you already somebody that's up there and whatever your numbers are, then I know that I can get that number. Yeah, I'm under promise. Yeah, I want to make this amount of money. I think I should be able to get there by blah, 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 blah. You already know you're going to get there. And then you can act like you're doing something when you already know that you're going to get there.
No, but the whole point of under promise is that that's the key. You never know what can happen. So you don't want someone saying like, it doesn't matter whether or not you know for a fact you can get there or not, because the person's expectation is just that you're there. They don't care how you got there. They don't care if you worked hard to get there, if it's just something that landed in your lap. Their expectation is that, okay, you said you was gonna make 180 by this year, by year, blah, blah, blah. Where you at? Well, but if you tell them, oh, I guarantee you I'm gonna be at 180. And then you at 160, and the person later on like, okay, well, you said this ain't cutting it for me. Now you feeling somewhat.
Okay, so you trying to so you trying to say if somebody tell you they're gonna be at 180, right? And
we're just using hypotheticals.
Yeah, figure out none of this. If they saying they're gonna be at 180 in blah 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 amount of time, and they always telling you, oh, I gotta do this and I gotta do that and I gotta do this, when they really not doing all of that, to get to that 180. What I feel is, I know about women, anytime a woman see a man grinding and on his 10 toes, you become more attracted to them. So if you see that and you think that they're getting there because they're working and busting and hustling and busting their butt, but it ain't really that hard, that's kind of a manipulation thing.
I mean, yeah, but that's a totally different thing. I think that you can do that if you want to, but if you at 180 for the next 10 years, then somebody gonna know something wrong.
Well, you might be peeked out at that.
I know somebody gonna know something wrong. So you can only pretend. I guess the point is, your goal should be not to disappoint a person.
Yeah.
So even if you're most of the time people under promise, they know they can get it done by the end. That's not the point. The point is, like, I can know that I only got one more thing left to do on this work thing that they want me to do, and it can definitely be done but I'm still going to give myself extra time, because I don't know, I could be out sick, and that one thing I just didn't get done, and now they want it on Monday, and I don't have it on Monday.
Yeah. So
it doesn't matter that it only took me a push of a button to get it in. You know what I'm saying? But that's the whole point of under promising. I think when people say they can reach expectations, they may be some people that have good intentions, but then you have somebody. It's almost similar to the whole case where you tell a client that they're gonna get a certain amount of money in a settlement, and then they don't get it.
Don't
You
get it,
already
yeah.
got that in their head that
That's
this is
it.
where you're gonna be at. So then, of course, when you fall short, it's gonna even
Be
make it seem like it's
disappointed.
worse than what it is.
and be very disappointed.
Yeah.
Disappointed. So yeah, I mean, I get it. I was just playing devil.
No, I know. So you just got to be honest with them expectations, and I agree. People have expectations. They have limitations. People need to be truthful about their limitations. People need to be truthful about their expectations, and then in that you can come to an agreement.
And what I would say about like a lot of topics that we talk about, what I'm learning and what I've had to learn through my personal journey, a lot of this comes with maturity as well. And some of us guys, you know, well, not some of us, but most guys mature at a later age than women anyway. Some of us don't even ever mature, right? So with all of these conversations and topics, it comes with self-growth and maturity as well, to even understand, grasp fully the concept of some of the things that we'll be speaking about. And this is actually one of them, because like, think about it. How many people actually really sit down and have a conversation about expectations in their relationship? Like, I wonder how many. It's sort of like married couples that, you know, they get into these crazy arguments and don't know how to handle and communicate and whatever it is, right? And they never talked about how to handle one another from the beginning.
Right.
So it's the same type of thing, but when you're mature, then those conversations become a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And understanding that these are the things that it takes to potentially make your relationship stronger, and not potentially make your relationship stronger and last longer and hopefully forever. So, but all of that comes, everything that I think that we have talked about comes with maturity.
It does.
With
It does.
maturity.
A lot of it comes. It does come with maturity,
And
it's mostly
and being intentional.
and it's relationship maturity, or it's just having that willingness to, like I said, get in that counseling before you start seriously dating and learn stuff. It's the willingness to learn is what it is. You have to be mature enough where you're open-minded enough to learn and say, okay, yeah, there's some things I need to learn before I go into this.
Matt, I did the opposite of that.
And that's the thing, though, because what happens when you say you have more money, then there's an expectation. And even in that expectation, some people, it may feel like you're being used, but they may not even be intentionally using you. They may seriously think like, okay, well, I know they always have this much money, so it's, you know, I can get it from them because it's not going to hurt them to give it to me, and then I can give it right back to them. And so they're not intentionally trying to use you. It's just that they really think it's not going to hurt you to give it to them as far as put you out there. So they're okay with asking. So like you have to do
and
that.
the other side of that is like that could be an expectation of somebody. Like if somebody, because I used to do the I got money thing, right? And if somebody expectations of, if a woman's expectation is, oh, I want to date a man with money and a man to take care of me.
Oh yeah.
And I am sitting there acting like I got money. Well, I've reached part of her expectations in the beginning from the way that I'm portraying myself, right? So that's her expectation. Whether you want to think it's right or wrong or whatever.
And the funny thing is, I hate when they call women like that gold digger. Oh, there you go, there. But the thing is, like, it's a fair expectation for some people, right? For some women, if that's what their standard is, that they want a man to make a certain amount of money and they want a man that's going to wine and dine them and do all these fancy things for them, that's their right? That's their right to have it.
And it's your right not to do it.
Right. But when you put yourself out there like, I got money,
then don't be mad when they ask for it.
Let me buy this. Just because you're trying to get somebody or you trying to, I guess, get some or whatever y'all do. And then you want to get mad because that's what her expectation is for you to continue to finance. That's wrong.
It's 110% wrong because I can't. I used to, like I said, I used to be one of the guys that, act like I got all this money, show all this money, and as soon as somebody asks me something, something happened. I did that in the third, right? But I did it to make it look like I had this, knowing that some women, that's what they go for anyway. So I'm trying to, throw off a persona of I'm this, that, and the third, and I'm giving her, making her believe that I'm this person because of her expectation, and I know that I'm not really that person. So like, that's, and there's nothing wrong. Again, I don't. That's something we discussed one time before. I'll touch on it in a minute. If a woman says she want a man that makes $700 million a year, that is her right. If you think that If you make $700 million a year and you don't want a woman that wants you because you make 700, that is your right. Like all of this gold digging stuff that we talk about and women, like you don't have to deal with that person.
It always works. It also works in the reverse too, women. So just so you know, there is nothing wrong with dating and not feeling like you have to show a man that you can take care of yourself and that you don't need his money for anything and that you don't need finances, because what happens is a lot of times that backfires. And when it backfires.
No, I'm listening.
It backfires in the way that you may end up with a guy that is saying, oh, I want to do 50-50. And that may not have been your long-term goal to be with someone that wants to do 50-50. Or you may end up with a guy that's like, oh, well, let me get money from her all the time. That may not have been your goal. Or you may end up with a guy that feel like he doesn't ever have to do anything nice for you because you got it and you got it yourself. You can buy your own this, buy your own that. And so that kind of backfires in a way too. That's the whole thing with under promising. I mean, it's perfectly okay to let somebody know that you take care of yourself, but never, I don't think you should put it out there. Because someone told me before, they said, quit telling men when you're dating.
That would be me.
Yeah, it was my friend told me that first. It was quit telling them. They don't need to know that, but quit telling them that, because you do start running into people that's expecting like, oh, well, we went on a date and you can pay your part, I'm gonna pay my part, that type of thing, and they didn't want to ask you on a date, or you get out there and they like, oh, well, can you pay for this, or can you do, and it's crazy.
So and even with that, when I told her that, right, when we first started talking, and she told me she had 8 kids and this, that, and the third. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, okay, well, first thing popped in my mind, I wonder how many kid fathers she has. And second thing popped in my mind, I don't know what the hell she do for a living. This nigga, she probably broke her. And she said, oh, I'm an attorney. First thing popped in my mind, oh, she got her own money. This, that, and the third, because that's just normally what what most people would think about and go to when you tell people that that's your profession. I'm an attorney. I'm a doctor. I'm a whatever it is. You are. Hell, even a truck driver, for whatever reason, they think that we make a whole lot of money. That's a whole nother story. But when you tell people that, they start getting that ideal of who you are. And to that point, at that particular time, I had been, taking care of dealing with certain women that every time we go somewhere, I had to pay, and this, that, I had got tired of that. So when she said that to me, one of my expectations was the next person that I be with, they was either gonna make just as much as me or make more than me. So when she told me that, she filled the expectation that she didn't even know that she had filled, because I probably wouldn't have stayed there that long if it would have been what I did, especially where I was at that particular time. If you had 8 kids and I had to come in and take care of kids, I don't know if I really was gonna be able to do that.
Yeah, but even with him though, when he started talking like, I would want to. Now the thing is, I've never wanted to really necessarily be a wife that just stay at home and not did anything. I'm much too active for that. But when he starts talking like that, I was thinking like, well, dang, I'm glad I'm not one of them women that wanted to stay home, because if that's the case, I would, even though, because like I said, a person can very well make their own money, but that's not what their expectation isn't that they're going to
take
be.
This conversation in a whole nother direction.
I'm just saying that that their expectation isn't that they're going to be 50-50. Like some people still believe in the traditional roles, and there's nothing wrong with that. And but when you put that out there, all of a sudden that goes out the window, and you're not, the people that you attract and the people that date you are not going to be the ones that you want. So I'm just telling women, men, everyone, that if you have expectations, especially when it comes to finances and stuff, don't put out there like that's not a problem. Or if you tell people like, hey, I do make my money, but this is what my expectation is in a marriage, right? You're going to have to do that. Otherwise, you can go into a whole situation and it'd be something totally different than what you expected, because you can be like, okay, yeah, I was making my own money then, but I was hoping I would get a man that
blah, blah, blah.
I wouldn't have to work this hard once I got married, that type of thing. So
even with that, right? And I've always said, I mean, of course, after you get married and you're deeply in love and all of that, things have changed. I've always said that I'm not taking care of no grown ass woman. if you're able to work and you're not sick and I'm not taking care of you. You want to work because I'm gonna have to work. You want to go back to school that way, this, that, and the third, but staying at home, I'm not for all of that unless you're doing something to, being a house mom. I still kind of feel like that. But if, I could do it because it's my wife and I'm in love with her. If she decided she needed to break, and I made XYZ amount of money, yeah, she could stay home. But that's starting off at a conversation to tell me that ain't gonna work for me.
And that's what I'm saying. Matter of fact, when he told me that, I was thinking like, ugh. Again, my thing is, I don't like staying at home anyway, so I don't think that would have ever fit me. But my point was not the whole idea behind me not liking him saying that. I was thinking like, I don't like people that's closed-minded like that. Like I'm okay with traditional roles. I'm okay with however you want to mix it up. But I don't think anybody should be if that's their thing. I don't see see anything wrong with a stay-at-home dad. If you can, as a man, put your ego and pride aside and take it, I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with stay-at-home wife, mom. I don't see anything wrong with people doing 50-50. Should they choose, that's what they want to do. I don't see things wrong with that, but I don't think people should be so structured or I said, what part about that irritated me was like, I don't want to be people. I don't think people should be in those type of boxes where it's like, oh, it has to be this way. Otherwise, blah, blah, blah. And that's what I didn't want to be with somebody that was in that type of box. That's what I'm saying.
Then we get back to the expectations though. Because if that was my expectation of the next person that I wanted to date.
No, I get that. That's what I'm saying. So when I put that out there, I should have made that clear to him because I was thinking like,
if she would have came back and was like, my next husband, I didn't work for all this time and did XYZ for everybody, and the next person that I want to be with, it's time for me. I want to be at home mom. Yeah, we probably would have got married.
No, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm the type of person that like to, even though I'm okay, I like to have the option of, for either person, the option of me saying, okay, I'm gonna stay home, or the option of you saying, okay, I'm gonna stay home. And so that's what I'm saying. Like that's what turned. I was like, he's saying this. I was thinking like, wait, how long we been together? Because
about 3 weeks when we were talking about that.
That was 3 weeks. About 3 weeks. No, if it had been 3 weeks, we wouldn't even be here on this podcast right now.
You could have kicked rocks at 3 weeks.
This podcast would be non-existent if that he said that 3 weeks.
It was about 3 weeks. It was about 3 weeks.
No, it was
Matter of fact, the whole sidebar. When she told me she had 8 kids, I didn't believe she had them from her ex-husband. It's rare that I've seen an African American woman that got with.
Now why you put stereotypes?
I said as me. I said what I've seen with my eyes. That ain't no stereotype.
How many African American women you seen?
That's all I've dealt with.
With 8 kids.
No, I was getting ready to say multiple kids.
Oh.
That only had one kid's father. So when you told me you had 8 for a good 3-4 months, I was like, yeah, she's gonna slip up and tell me, not 8 kids, fathers, but 8 kids. I was like, she's gonna slip up and tell me how many kid fathers she had. Because I don't know if you remember, I sneak that question in again. Now who they dad again? Like I used to throw that in there, waiting on her to tell me that she got more than one. So yeah, but anyway, that's a whole nother thing.
There's some guys with multiple.
Yeah, that's
baby mama.
That's
already.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I told you I couldn't have dealt with. I couldn't have dealt with you if you had multiple kids, fathers. 2, okay. More than 2, no. But if I was you, there's no way in the heck I would have dealt with me. Exactly. I wouldn't know in the hell I'd dealt with me.
That blind is getting on my nerve. I broke the blind, and I need to go. I'm gonna go change them because it's driving me nuts. Anyway, but what you were talking about, how the whole once you were in love thing, that goes to our next kind of topic when we're talking about the whole growing in love and falling in love. I don't know. I got an issue with this one, and I do, and I'm telling you where it comes from. It comes from the movie Sense and Sensibility that my sister had me watching a long time ago. The growing in love and falling in love.
Whoa.
I don't know. They are 2 totally different things. I know that we romanticize love, but I also know that there are people who have fallen in love and have been together for 50, 60 years through falling in love. I do know that there are people who have grown in love and have been together for a very long time. To me, I feel like there's something about the whole, even though it doesn't stay there, right? So even though it's romanticized, there's something about the whole lightning bolt thing that gets me, as opposed to the whole gradual love thing. So I don't know. I just don't. I'm wondering what those relationships and marriages look like,
Well,
and the differences between them. Because the thing is, like, even when I watched that movie Sense and Sensibility, right? The girl was madly in love with the guy, madly in love with this guy, and she couldn't. And it was another guy who was constantly trying to talk to her, but she didn't want him. She wanted the guy that she was in love with. Like, she had fallen in love with this dude. The dude supposedly loved her back, but because of back in then, the money and stuff, he ended up marrying someone else. So she gets sick, and the guy who loved her from the beginning, he kind of nurses her back to health, and she grows to love him, right? Or like even a series I watched where the lady had fallen in love. This is Us. She's in love with her first husband. He dies. She starts hanging around his friend, and then she grows to love the friend and ends up married to him. But even in that series, it was always her. It was always her first love being her first choice, really. And so I'm just wondering, like, do people that have that happen, have they fallen in love before? And is it that the person that they fall in love with is still really their first choice, and this person that they've gradually grown to love, it's not like they don't love them, but it's almost like you're paying second seat.
Well, so here's this is I didn't, now that and it was my topic, I didn't think about it at the time. That's what happened to me. Like, I got my first marriage, like I got married for all the wrong reasons. And here's the difference. I got married for all the wrong reasons. I got custody of my son. She said she's gonna take my son, whatever the case was, right? So after we got married, I cared about her, but I can't honestly say that I was in love with her, right? And as the years went on, I started and I didn't realize it until after she passed how much I did, how much love I had for her. I don't know if I ever reached the stage of being in love now that I know what being in love entails, but the things that I did throughout that whole marriage, and how she responded, which would go into the other thing about the codependency, but how she responded, it made me start caring and loving her more. Because when I would do certain things, the way she responded, whatever, and I started seeing that she's a really, really good person. But I was starting, that love that I started gaining was a gradual thing because I was steadily doing wrong stuff. But that's why I say I never got to the point where I could say I think that I was in love. So I do think that you could start, if you're not really truthfully in love with somebody, I think you can fall in love with somebody over a long period of time because they're showing you who they are and the characteristics that they are. And while you probably ain't found those characteristics that you was looking for in somebody, I'm not saying, take me doing the stuff that I was doing out, but somebody's showing you that, right? So I think it can happen. With you, it was more of I know I'm in love with you because I was willing to do things that I've never done before, like from the early onset. So it's a totally different type of thing. I didn't have to. Now I grow in love with you more and more daily, even when you get on my nerve. But that's the part of being in love with you from the beginning and starting with that type of a foundation.
But that's what my thing is like. So like people. So that's my point. Like, I don't know, it's growing to love someone in one sense, is it fair to them? For example, to me, if you're growing to love someone and you're already in a marriage or relationship with them, it seems like
you misled them.
You didn't like them to begin with. I mean, you didn't love them to begin with.
With that point, it's not fair to them unless you expressed it to them. Like, yeah, I care about you. I don't know if I'm really in love with you, but we can make it. Now, it's fair if you express it that way and you get married, but like we talked about last week, certain things, it's not fair, but certain things that's one of them things that you tell your partner everything type of thing.
Right.
Because
I really love you at first.
Like if you're treating them fair and you're making them feel like that you love them, and your feelings are not there. And I'm not talking about doing extracurricular stuff. I'm talking about treating them as if they love you. If you love them for whatever the reason is, like whatever, if they could be doing something for you or whatever you're getting from them, but if you're treating them with that respect as if you're in love with them, I would, just like I said before, anytime you spend any amount of time with anybody, some type of feelings are going to fester.
Yeah.
And start gaining. So it's just like you can go up 77 to get the Huntersville, or you can take 485. It's just a long route to get there, but you're going to get to the destination.
Right. I can say that. So, Matt, like you're saying, gradually better to you. I can say that I think maybe the growing in love eliminates a lot of the other stuff that a person may have to go through if they just fell in love with a person. And my point is because you can fall in love with someone. For example, I promise you, I had a teacher who said that her husband walked into, I think she was at a restaurant, the guy that she ended up marrying, walked to the restaurant, and from that point, at that moment, they knew they loved, she fell in love with him. And like from that minute, they've been married ever since. But I can imagine loving someone to that extent where you like, oh, that's my husband. And then though trying to work through and get to know them while you're in love with them like that. That's got to be difficult. As opposed to, say you're just around someone and you're getting to know them and you know the ins and out of them, and then you're gradually loving them, and you done seen the bad, the worst of them, the best of them, the mediocre of them, all of that, but you still growing to love them. Now you don't, once you love them, you don't have to worry about like, oh dang, I ain't know this about them. I ain't know that about them. So I think like in that respect, it eliminates some stuff. Because think about it, if somebody is truly your friend and you just been hanging with them and y'all 10 years later, like what do you not know about them really?
Yeah,
or what do you?
That's well. See, that's a whole other topic as well. If you saying that you're friends with somebody for 10,
well,
15
I was just
no, but I'm
just saying like, what if you were just around someone then, for example, and y'all wasn't even dating like that? Yeah, or you were just talking off and on or something.
That's a whole nother subject, because then at that particular time, then there had to be some attraction there anyway. Y'all just never acted on it.
Not necessarily. Because the more you know somebody, the more attracted you could be to them. So you don't necessarily have to be attracted to somebody from the get go.
If you're talking about 5-10 years and you
can think somebody people. Well, but that's as a friend. But my point is take the 5 to 2 years out of it. Even if you just meet someone. And you can maybe like, I don't know if I don't really like them like that, but they're cool people to talk to. I'm saying sometimes the longer you talk to someone, the more you like, okay, yeah, no, that's cool. I like that about them. Blah, blah, blah. And you gradually love them that way. How do you think gradual love occurs? You have to be in some respect talking to the person or interacting with the person in order to gradually grow to love them. Now, I think it's completely wrong if you already in a relationship with a person and you talking about, oh, just gradually bring love. Now, I think that's some BS. I wouldn't want that type of. I wouldn't want to be in a relationship with somebody who said like, yeah, I didn't love you like that first when we got married, but I just gradually fell in love with you. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't tell.
That's wrong to me. That's horrible.
You should never tell them that anyway.
But I'm just saying that's horrible.
But here's the thing that I'm saying, right?
That's horrible.
I mean, I know this didn't happen to the point of what you just said. Here's the thing: you can have a friend, and you've been married, they've been married, or y'all been in relationships with opposite people, and y'all already confide in each other. You know when they cheat, if you ever cheated, whatever the case may be, right? And they're literally, legitimately your friend. You know everything bad that they've done. They know everything bad that you've done, this, that, and the third. They legitimately your friend, right? Get it? You probably got some type of feelings for them anyway, because most people care about their friends. So as you actually say you break up with them, they break up with whoever, and then y'all really start
You
hanging
just do
out.
a whole scenario in there.
That's what you said, though.
I didn't say anything about them being with other people at first and all that stuff. I said,
Well, you
that's not
said you
that.
know the good and the bad. How else you gonna know the good and the bad about them if you're not? That's what friends do.
Not necessarily, maybe just know. I mean, I'm talking about like they anger. You may know their anger. You may know like if they dealing with depression. You may know like any of that type of stuff. Good and bad don't necessarily mean multiple relationships.
I wasn't
or
talking
anything
about
like
that neither. I'm saying you know that because you've been around them so much.
Well,
But
yeah.
the whole thing about that, what I was going to go to, whole thing about that is attraction already there. So if you ever enter into a relationship, that's changing the subject a little bit. But if you ever enter a relationship, now you could potentially lose a friend if y'all don't make it.
Okay, well, let's take the friend out of it. He just went on.
Well, I was just saying.
Okay, how else will a person grow in love? That's my point. The topic is people who is it better to grow in love,
right,
or to fall in love? How do you grow in love with someone if they're not your friend first? They have to be your friend first to grow in love, because otherwise you're interacting with them. And like this article was saying, the person was saying like growing in love is a good, like they like the whole aspect of growing in love because now you're actually in love with your best friend. How do you think that person became your best friend? It's because you both were interacting with each other on a level that's not that level first.
Then I wasn't looking at it like that. I was looking at it as two people meet, two people hang out. You may do whatever you do, and then you enter into some type of relationship, but you may not feel like the other person feel, or it may not be as strong there, and then you start. But you're dating.
But even in that case, the reason why you end up growing in love with them because they end up being. You could be in a relationship with somebody and they're more like your friend than they are your boyfriend, or they're more like your friend than they are your girlfriend. Especially if you're talking about you don't really love them like that. So you're in a relationship with them, you're doing things with them. They're kind of like your homie, more so than anything.
But y'all not calling each other that though.
No, I give it that you still calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend, but I'm saying you still have more of a friendship than anything. And the whole reason why you grow in love with them is because that friendship blossoms.
Okay.
I mean, what else is there?
But I don't know. I was telling you why I was looking at it because I was thinking about people that's dating and like you said, that friendship blossoms, but you also doing relationship type of stuff. I thought you were speaking more of on just friends in general.
No, I was just talking about any people who grow in love. My thing was like you can be dating, and if you don't like that person like that or love that person like that, you're still. I mean, what are you thinking of them like then? You don't love them? You what? You just like them?
Well. So again,
and if you just like somebody, I mean, that's what you just like them. Like I like doing stuff with you. Like you're my friend. Like you're a companion. I mean, that's what that is. At that point, it's your companion.
I'm just thinking about things I used to do and say.
Yeah, that's totally different. That ain't nothing to do with nothing. But my point is, I don't know. I just think that for me, I see that as a little boring.
You see what?
That boring. That's boring.
What? Growing in love?
Yeah.
Growing to love somebody?
Yeah.
Well, how would you say that's boring if you just said you're...
No, because I wouldn't want to be. I'm not gonna be with somebody and just be like,
you had to grow to love me.
I'm just with them, just be with them. Oh, I guess I love them. That don't. I mean, I'm saying that's not to me. That's not as thrilling as falling in love.
That's what you did with me.
I'm just saying that's not as thrilling.
Oh, so you trying to say it wasn't a thrilling process for you? Oh, that's kind of messed up there, buddy.
It's not as thrilling.
You see why we have marital problems or the marital problems we have. You find out something new 5 years, and I'm just finding this out now, buddy. You had to grow to be in love with me.
But my point is, for them people like in that movie who just fall in love like
Won't
that.
see y'all no more. I'm leaving now. Well, because I fell in love with you.
He the one said, did y'all hear me say anything about that? I didn't say anything. He the one said, you grew in love with me.
Well, you ain't deny it. She ain't deny it. Did she deny it?
Say that.
Did you deny it? Did you deny it? You see that bull, boy? Let's say something. Boy, every time I learn something new, this is the reason. And so this is the reason I say that I fall in love with her. Because every time I learn something new about her, every dang on day, every week. Let's see how.
Let's see, that makes them fall in love with me. I gotta keep you on your toes. So you don't get bored. Keeping it thrilling.
Well, you see how when our approach, how she throws these things out, and now what y'all don't see, we get off camera, we're gonna be here moving furniture now.
No,
boy.
we're not.
We-
Yeah. First of all, we're not gonna move furniture because he gonna tire out anyway. So I don't even know why you talking like that. We need to go to the gym.
Ain't going to no gym.
Yes, we are. We still gotta go to the gym tonight. Anyway, but our point is, I don't know, the growing in love thing and the falling in love thing, that's very interesting though. But those two movies or that show and that movie really stuck out of my head when you put that on the list of topics. I was definitely thinking about, I don't know if that girl really was happy. But I guess if you grow in love with somebody, you can be happy. But I was thinking, I don't know. And then This Is Us, the whole thing was no, her husband was really her first love. And truthfully, if he hadn't died, she would be with, that type of thing.
Well, now that's a whole nother thing, because we talked about that.
Yeah.
So if your first love passed and now you go out like your true love, what you say is your soulmate, this, that, and the third, and all of a sudden, do you go out, and if you go out and find somebody else, how should that other person feel?
I don't know, because that's what I'm saying. Are you just growing in love with that person?
It's like you said, it's like a substitute.
Yeah.
I mean,
because on that show, on the show that I'm talking about, what happened was after her husband died, remember, he was the husband's friend. And I think because he just kept coming around so much that she ended up growing to love him.
And it probably, I didn't watch it.
And she married him, but it was, so I don't think that her love wasn't genuine, but it was.
It probably has something to do with if it's his friend, the closeness of that, of the friendship that the husband and the new husband had. So it probably gave her a sense of being a little bit closer to her ex-husband, because they were friends, and they probably 9 times out of 10, if you got two people that's good people and that they're friends, your similarities is going to be, you're going to be very similar to that other person.
Yeah.
And that probably was the case with that.
Right.
So
it was like she cared for him. It's just I was just thinking that is not their relationship was totally different than the relationship she had with the husband that she had fallen in love with. They were just spontaneous. They were always teenager type thing. And this one was more of a, this is my best friend. This is what we do type thing. Do you get what I'm saying? And so it was different. So it'd be interesting to hear other people's perspective on that, because maybe you grew in love with your spouse, or maybe you fell in love with your spouse. But it'd be interesting to hear people's comparisons on how their relationships function like that.
I just think that to be in love with a person and learn, because I said this to you and our counselor as well. Sometimes it's frustrating, but the fun part about being married is still learning you.
Yeah.
While I'm in love with you.
Right.
Because I'm in love with you, I think that I'll be able to tolerate, or I'm able to tolerate, or I don't want to say tolerate. I'm able to work through certain frustrations I may have because I am in love with you and I don't want to lose you. If you're growing to love somebody, I think that sometimes it may creep in. Well, for me anyway, it would creep in my head I can get rid of you. I love you, but I ain't gonna deal with this. You know what I mean? Right. So that'll be the scary part about that for me personally. Right. So I prefer to be in love, and then while I'm in love, start growing in love.
Now that's what I was gonna say. Now that's always important, regardless of whether you fell in love or you grew in love. You still have to continue to grow in love with the person that you're with, because that you have to continue. You wake up and choose love, and you wake up and you're choosing to be together. And even when you think about it from that aspect, sometimes when we fall in love, you become so emotionally dependent upon the person. I don't know if you really choose it at a certain point, especially early on. You may not actually be choosing. It's more like a feeling of need, and my heart is going to break in 10 pieces if we're not together. But when you're in love with someone and you continue to grow in love, that's when you're choosing. No, I'm choosing to be with this person because of these aspects. I'm choosing to be with them because I do love them. I'm choosing to be with them because they are my best friend. I'm choosing because I like doing stuff with them. that type of thing. Yeah. So it's definitely important. Definitely important.
What?
So that was our.
I'm glad I learned today that you grew in love with me. So how long did it take for you to grow in love with me?
I don't know.
Was
what
it
he's
the
talking
first marriage? I mean, like, was it the first wedding when we went to the beach? Was you still grown, or was it when we had the ceremony? Like, when anyway, whole nother subject.
And see, you gonna ask some type of questions. You prepare for the answers.
Well, no, I didn't ask the question. You just didn't.
You keep saying.
But you didn't change it. Like,
I'm not gonna change it.
here's the
That's what you
thing.
get.
This is what I always
You
told you.
shouldn't have said that.
No,
That's
this is
you
what I
get.
always told you. We as men.
What's your expectation?
Well, no, I
Your
don't have
expectation is that I'm gonna.
We as men, I'm like Matt now. I don't have no expectations. We as men, we always, I keep telling her this from day one. We'll throw a filler out there, whether it's a sex filler, whether it's a relationship filler, to see what the answer is.
And that's what he
I threw that out
get. And that's
there
what he get.
because I was, I did have an
And that's what
expectation.
he get.
The expectation was, yeah, no, baby, I was in love with you. You know, no, nigga, that's what she said.
That's what he get for throwing that filler out there like that. What they say, you test people. You shouldn't be testing people.
You play stupid games, you win stupid
There
prizes.
you go.
And this
Don't
is
worry.
why this is my side chick.
Don't worry.
Hey, baby,
I
I know you ain't in love with me. Yes, you are. I keep her right here just in case she acts up. I cuddle with her.
It's my dial.
Well, that's like best friends. I do friends.
You know what? Anyway. So we will, I don't know, next week he's talking about maybe during the day. You said it's gonna be raining and cold. So if it's gonna be raining and cold, I'm not videotaping nothing while we're walking around because I don't like being cold and I don't like rain. But if it's decent, we'll let you know. We'll record earlier in the day. And then I go see
50% chance of rain and it's gonna be 50 degrees.
and we go see Betty Boop. I think it's like 7 or something. So we'll be in the Betty Boop show. And we may can do a live after we get back. So or something. I don't know. It's the weekday. But we'll do a live sometime next week, but it won't be on Tuesday. So I mean it may not be on Tuesday. So if you don't see it on here, we told you. We're trying to do better, y'all.
I guess.
All right. Well, have a great evening. I have homework, of course. He has dinner he needs to make. And we will see you next week.
Peace, love, and Afro Grease.
Really, baby.